Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the invisible hand that guides almost every single purchasing decision you make. We're talking about the psychology of color. We're going to break down the hard data to show you exactly how marketers bypass your logical brain and speak directly to your subconscious. It's fascinating stuff. So think about the last thing you bought. Seriously, why did you buy that specific product? Was it the features, the price? Or, was there something else, something totally subconscious that pulled you in the exact millisecond you looked at it? Well, get ready for this, because here is a staggering statistic. Up to 90%, 90%, of the information that forms your decision to buy a product is based on color alone. And that judgment, it happens incredibly fast. We're talking within the first 90 seconds. Okay, let's look at our roadmap for this explainer. We'll be covering 1. The 90-second color decision. 2. Emotions of the color spectrum. 3. Subconscious power of color theory. 4. Cultural and gender color differences. And finally, 5. Driving sales with the isolation effect. Section 1. The 90-second color decision. First impressions and the invisible hand of color. According to a study published in the journal Management Decision, people make decisions within 90 seconds of their first impression of a product, and color alone contributes up to 90% of the information that forms the decision. Now, what does this actually mean for us? Well, to understand why this happens, we have to talk about cognitive load. The human brain relies on visual heuristics, basically mental shortcuts, to process millions of bits of data super quickly. This means color isn't just about aesthetics, it's literally a biological sorting mechanism for survival and preference. It is absolutely essential for brand differentiation. If a brand gets the color wrong, boom, they lose the customer in a minute and a half. Moving on to Section 2, Emotions of the Color Spectrum, How Primary and Neutral Hues Build Trust and Urgency. Think about brands like Facebook, KPMG, or Walmart for a second. Why do they all lean so heavily into blue? It's because blue establishes credibility, trust, and communication. It's fundamentally non-threatening. From an evolutionary standpoint, blue signals clear skies and calm waters, right? Because of that deep-seated connection, modern consumers subconsciously link it to reliability, security, and this sort of fail-safe professionalism. When you see this hue, your brain just immediately registers a positive, trustworthy image. But now, on the flip side, think of CNN, Target, or honestly almost any major fast food chain. Why the aggressive use of red? Well, this is evolutionary too. In nature, red is a vital color for warnings or ripe fruit. But in marketing, it physically stimulates your appetite, accelerates your breathing, and even boosts your heart rate. It triggers a real sense of urgency, pushing people to make faster decisions and react immediately to whatever is right in front of them. Basically, every hue has a hardwired emotional profile. Let's run through the subconscious meanings of a few other core colors. Yellow is all about optimism, warmth, and attention-grabbing cheerfulness. Orange channels energy, youthful optimism, and stimulating fun. Green gives us nature, health, wealth, and soothing tranquility. Though, quick side note here, green doesn't always automatically mean growth. Purple brings elegance, loyalty, trust, and a sense of mysterious luxury. Moving to neutrals, white provides simplicity, purity, hygiene, and high-tech contrast. And finally, black adds gravity, strength, sophistication, and minimal polish. These foundational associations heavily shape how we subconsciously perceive a brand's core identity. All right, Section 3, Subconscious Power of Color Theory. Hue, saturation, and luminescence at work. Now, as you probably guessed, there's a lot more to color than just picking blue or red. There are 3 vital elements in color theory. You have hue, which is the pure color itself, saturation, which is the intensity or purity of that color, and luminance, which is the brightness or darkness. By tweaking these 3 levers, marketers don't just change the color, they completely reshape your subconscious feelings about a product category. For instance, a dark navy blue feels bold, strong, and masculine, whereas a light baby blue with higher luminance is airy, bright, and youthful. And check this out. Loud, highly saturated colors catch the eye immediately. They artificially raise our excitement levels. Conversely, quiet, low-saturation pastels dial down our cognitive load, creating a much more peaceful, calming atmosphere. Our brains naturally reject information that is too dull or overwhelming, so balancing these elements is absolutely critical for marketers trying to strike the exact right emotional chord for their target audience. Let's jump into Section 4, Cultural and Gender Color Differences. Why color is not a universal language. So, studies show that demographics have a very measurable impact on color psychology. While both men and women generally prefer blue and cool colors overall, men have the absolute strongest preference for the specific hue of blue. Women, on the other hand, demonstrate a much stronger preference for the broader family of cool colors. And scientifically speaking, women actually perceive more colors and nuances between shades than men do. It's wild. If you are marketing a product to a specific demographic, ignoring these biological and societal gender nuances means you are just leaving money on the table. And it's not just gender, geography plays a huge role too. Take the color white, for example. In the United States, white symbolizes purity, innocence, and simplicity. I mean, it's what you wear to a wedding. But in China, white is historically associated with death, and it is the color people traditionally wear to funerals. That is a massive night and day difference. Deploying a US-centric color palette in Asia without doing the research can result in a brand coming across as incredibly tone-deaf. This really proves that regional color associations require specific, highly researched adjustments. For a global marketing campaign to be successful, you absolutely cannot just copy-paste your palette. You must adapt it to the local cultural lens. International marketing strategies must rely on localized cultural studies to ensure the intended message lands perfectly, every single time. Which brings us to Section 5, driving sales with the isolation effect, creating a conversion focal point. So how do marketers use all of this psychological data to generate actual conversions? They use something called the isolation effect. This is a psychological principle suggesting that a unique color in a field of uniform hues will stand out more, inherently driving consumers to take action and purchase. It is literally the ultimate psychological tool for driving higher consumer sales. If you want a customer to click a button on a landing page or grab a box off a crowded store shelf, you don't blend in. You isolate your product with a disruptive, contrasting color. A great example of this is the financial service Klarna. They apply this perfectly. Notice how they use a calming, approachable purple-pink gradient for the background to suggest modern innovation, but the call to action button, it's a solid, contrasting black. It's sophisticated, sure, but more importantly, it utilizes the isolation effect to effortlessly hijack the user's eye. It drives them directly away from the soft background to the point of sale, practically securing the click. Color builds trust, it stimulates appetites, it navigates cultural divides, and it literally drives our physical actions online and in stores. So as you look at your own business, or honestly even your next purchase, ask yourself, are you painting your brand and your message in the right light? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will see you next time.